Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 472. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we've got Kevin Rakeshaw. Hey, Kevin.
Oh, hi.
This week on the show, we got two reviews lined up for you with Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool and M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. We'll also be going over someone watching on the watch list and this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We had an unexpected cancellation last week because Kevin's car broke down. How is your car?
Car is A-okay.
Nice.
Just need to get myself a new battery. One of them newfangled batteries.
Ah, okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Crisis averted there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were gonna review Infinity Pool last week, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So I guess we can start there. What do you think? Or do you want to start with Knock at the Cabin, which is, I think that came out before Infinity Pool? They're both on demand right now.
They're both out there.
Yeah.
You can watch them. Yeah, we can go Infinity Pool. Let's do it.
All right. So as I said, this is written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg. I have a synopsis here. James and M. Forster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of La Tolca when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. How about that? Kevin, we'll start with you. What were your initial impressions of Infinity Pool?
Going into this, I had no idea what we were dealing with. Like, I didn't really know the premise of this at all.
I went in deliberately blind on this one. Like, Brandon Cronenberg's the type of director where I feel like you get the most out of his movies if you just know nothing going into them. So that's kind of what I try to do with his.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're both successful. Because once the kind of like the premise presented itself, I was like, okay, this is an interesting idea. I like this. And it's much like, I mean, I had the same experience that I had with Possessor, honestly, where I was like, I really like this idea. This is great. Let's see what he does. And then he doesn't do much with it. And I feel like Infinity Pool, he explores it more so than he does in Possessor. So, like, I feel like he's making improvements. But still, Infinity Pool became a bit redundant to me. Where I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. Are we going to explore it a little bit more? And then it's kind of the same thing. And then finally we switch up where we start exploring at it from like a different angle. But at that point, I was just like, man, you already beat it into the ground. So by the end of this movie, I was tuned out. Not to say completely tuned out, but I was just, he drastically lost my interest towards the end of this movie.
The same thing happened with me. I liked this movie overall. I think that I liked Possessor more than you did, and as a result, I think that I kind of liked Possessor, just the overall narrative of Possessor more than Infinity Pool, because I feel like we've seen a lot of movies that tackle privilege and wealth and classism and all that stuff. Like we've seen a lot of that recently, and I feel like
goodness.
And I feel like I've seen like Triangle of Sadness, I think, is a good example of a movie that sort of tackles those topics and themes like in a better way. That being said, I still liked what Infinity Pool was presenting. There was this kind of sci-fi element to it. I don't know how much we should give away. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I went in completely cold, so I'm not sure. Like, it looks like I have the IMDb page pulled open and it's playing the trailer here, and it looks like maybe it does give it away in the trailer, at least the basic kind of premise that we're dealing with surrogates, I believe that they call them.
Mm-hmm.
But clones, basically. I think we could say clones. And he does some interesting stuff with that. I like the idea of, these rich these rich hedonistic tourists that take that concept of, creating these surrogates and like using that as their like kind of twisted rich person game. Like, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to dive into. It almost felt like this is Brandon Cronenberg's version of Crash. Like I was getting major like Crash vibes from this. He was just kind of putting his own spin on the movie that his dad made so many years ago.
Yeah, I think there's just a part of me that has grown somewhat tired with the critique of rich people, and not because I'm not fully for it.
Right.
I like critiquing rich people, but it feels like it's just the same thing all the time. Like it's always rich people are on vacation.
Yeah.
Like it's just an excuse to go to somewhere like insanely beautiful.
And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I was just going to say, with this one, I just knew in the back of my mind, like as soon as things were being established, as soon as the kind of the characters and this world was established, I just knew that whatever happened, I wasn't going to be satisfied with how it ended. Like I just knew that these people, these awful, awful people, were just it was not going to turn out the way I wanted it to, which was, all of them dying. That's what I wanted to happen.
Yeah, there's always that disappointment because the critique is always, in a sense, realistic, and that part of the critique is that they always get off. Well,
that's and
it's double entendre.
And I feel torn about how it ends, and I know that this is like I'm starting to get into spoiler territory here. I'm not going to say specifically what happens, but part of me likes how it ended because it's like, yeah, that's exactly how it would be. But then part of me is like, man, these people were just so fucking despicable that I just wanted something more to happen there.
Yeah. I think another thing that gets me is like, there's this weird, and this is just a personal thing, but there's this weird feeling of people that are obviously not necessarily like uber wealthy, but wealthy. Like wealthy. They're wealthy. And they're the ones that are like creating these critiques of the wealthy to in turn go on vacation and make more money.
It is kind of interesting when you think about it.
It's just like you're just watching it like this is all just fucking bullshit. Well, this is so ridiculous.
Especially because, there's all this like Nepo baby talk recently. And I thought about that specifically while watching this. And I'm like, this is a person who was born into wealth. And, his dad is a hugely famous and influential director in the industry. And here he is making this critique on, these types of people. And it's like, I don't know.
And you got Skarsgård in there.
Yeah, of course. Another Nepo baby.
It's just, you're watching and you're like, yeah, I mean, good on you for going at, but it's just like, oh, let's critique ourselves for the peasants. They'll fucking eat it up. And we can go to these incredible locations for however many months to shoot our movie, and we'll just make some money off it. This is going to be wonderful. Not to say that like Brandon Cronenberg is probably not like ridiculously wealthy, but he definitely has money that I don't have, and the majority of people that are watching his movies do not have.
And like honestly, they probably Brandon Cronenberg probably lives a fairly normal life and wouldn't be lumped into these people that are represented in the movie. And I'm sure that Alexander Skarsgård, I mean, I don't know, maybe he seems like a pretty normal dude too, but yeah. And then so you have Skarsgård in here. They put him through the ringer in this movie. Like I wouldn't want to be him in this. It looked like
No,
looked like it
because
was a very unpleasant. Like I get the locale is beautiful, but the stuff that they put him through in this was not very pleasant looking.
I do appreciate that aspect of it, is where he's kind of like he's married into money, so he's not necessarily one of them,
Hmm.
and he's desperately trying to be. So I appreciated that aspect of it. And I will say that I thought he was pretty good in this, but I will say this was the first movie for me that Mia Goth like made sense. Like I get it. Like I get it now, where like people were freaking out with her in Pearl, and I was just like, yeah, she was. I mean, she was good, but I don't know. This was the movie where I was like, "Wait!" There's that scene of her like on the hood of the car
Oh
with the
yeah.
bucket of fried chicken, and I was just like, oh, "Okay, I get it." Yeah, because she's out of her mind in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you see Mia Goth at this point. I think that if you see Mia Goth as like in the cast, you're going to be in for something crazy, because she is definitely. I mean, she better be careful, because she's going to end up typecasting herself with some of these roles that she's in. But she's an
Yeah.
absolute nut in this movie, and she does a great job. I think that.
Oh, yeah, she's incredible in this movie.
Yeah, I think that she's such a. I mean, she just every role that she's in, man, she just gives 110%. She's like the woman, the female version of Nick Cage at this point.
There you go.
Yeah. Uh, Uber violent. I think that that's something that if you're familiar with Brandon Cronenberg's other films, it should be expected. The level of violence in this movie is extremely over the top, grisly, realistic looking, very unsettling levels of violence in this. I saw that I'm looking at it on IMDb and it says rated R. However, I saw somewhere else that said it was NC-17.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember where I saw that. It might have been on the movie database. No, that says R2. I don't know. But yeah, super violent. The makeup effects on this looked extremely real, like very real to me. Disturbingly so. Especially there's like this one scene where somebody gets shot, and it looks like they did such a good job with that one scene when the person gets shot in the face. Just looks it just looked really very realistic. And then there's also somebody gets stabbed multiple times, and it's like super close up of this person getting stabbed, and it looked very real. So great job with the makeup effects. You know, with Cronenberg's stuff, he likes to go with the ultra violence. I know that you criticized that before with Possessor, and I had a feeling that you would probably feel the same way about Infinity Pool.
I feel it's not as much as a critique in this movie as it was for Possessor. It seems like I don't know, and 100% I could be wrong, but it feels like he has the ideas for the violence and then kind of constructs a story to justify it. Whereas instead of just creating the story and then being like, oh, okay, well, this will be a violent. To me, it always seems like he gets like distracted by like his depictions of violence, and he just focuses on that, which was the issue that I had with Possessor, where it seemed like he just, instead of an exploration of his idea, he's just like, well, this is just an excuse to be super violent. And he kind of does the same thing here, but at least he explores it more so than he did with Possessor. Like, it felt like he was thinking ideas through, and there just happened to be violence along the way. Whereas Possessor was like, oh, I'm just focusing on the violence.
Well, one aspect of note is that the violence is actually part of the narrative here. Like the whole thing is, and I guess I'll just give away this portion of the plot. This fictitious place that they're in. They have very strict laws. They're like super religious, and basically any law you break, you get put to death. But there is a way that there's like sort of a loophole where you can have yourself cloned, and they put the clone to death instead of you. And one of the stipulations or requirements is that you have to watch your clone being executed. And what happens is Alexander Skarsgård's character accidentally hits somebody. He's driving drunk. He hits somebody, kills the person. It's a hit and run, but he gets caught and obviously gets put to death. But when he's watching his clone get murdered by the son of the man who was killed, he like kind of gets off on it. And then he realizes that there are other people at this resort who have had the same experience, and they kind of like get off on watching their clones be brutally murdered as well.
It's essentially if you have the money, it's a get out of free card or get out of jail free card.
Yeah,
you can do whatever you want. Yeah, and you just pay for your clone. They get knifed. You get the shiv, and then you go back to your day.
So the violence is sort of baked into the plot, which is more of a justification in this than I think in Possessor. Although to be clear, I didn't really have an issue with either one. I did like the masks in this; they were super creepy.
Yes,
they wear these like native masks, and they are like the most horrifying looking things ever.
Yeah, they look can't remember the artist's name. Francis Bacon. I don't know. Kind of this like the twisted figures. Kind of looks like that a little bit. But yeah, they're disturbing.
Yeah. I feel like they could make a whole like slasher movie around those masks. They're so well done too. So yeah, overall, I thought Infinity Pool was fine. It was a little bit grating just because the characters are just so horrible and unlikable. So at the end of the day, I feel like it overstayed its welcome. Like you said, it does sort of begin to get repetitive as it goes on, because it's like, okay, we know what's going on here. We get the whole thing. Like, we don't need them to go on another, drug fueled excursion where they're doing, debauchery. We could just move on, like move things forward here. So at the end of the day, I think I liked Possessor more. Although I will say that, like, cinematography wise, like filmmaking wise, on a technical level, I think that Cronenberg is definitely progressing. Like this feels like each of his films feels a little bit more mature than the last, and I think that he's like really developing his own voice, and so looks great. I liked the kind of surreal aspects of it a little bit. I remember when we were talking about this, and I think it was our most anticipated, and you were hoping that he was going to go like full on surreal with this one, and he did not. He
didn't, which I am kind of happy, because he does a little bit of surrealism within the them taking drugs and kind of
hated, by the way.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Because the way that he was depicting surrealism, I was like, yeah, he's not the right one for this.
No, it was more like a drug trip scene where it was like this kind of like orgy that they were having, and
it was everything that you would think it would be.
Yeah.
Kind of
I did not like that.
No, it was
all right.
Poorly filmed.
That's Infinity Pool. That is available on VOD right now. Let's go ahead and give it a score. I'm sitting at like I'll give it like a 6.
That's what I would give it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6. Yeah.
I'd give it a 6.
Good performances, interesting concept, but overall, I mean, he's trying new things. Like I'll give it to him that he's like trying to do something different, even if the themes are very common these days.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Knock at the Cabin. This is another one. It came out in theaters a few weeks ago and had a pretty quick VOD turnaround. This is directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I have a synopsis here. While vacationing at a remote cabin, a young girl and her parents are taken hostage by 4 armed strangers who demand that the family make an unthinkable choice to avert the apocalypse. With limited access to the outside world, the family must decide what they believe before all is lost. Now, we had talked about this movie a few times in the past. It is adapted from a book which I didn't read, and if I remember correctly, you didn't read it, but your wife did and told you about it. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that correct? So, yes. With that being said, I can't compare the two. So I don't really know how close this sticks to the book or anything like that. I do remember you telling me that the book was very violent, whereas this movie, all the violence or most of the violence happens off screen. M. Night Shyamalan, and this is something that we discussed in a previous episode, where M. Night Shyamalan doesn't necessarily do like overt violence. He's not a big fan of that. So it was curious that he was working on a story that apparently did have a lot of in-your-face violence. And I think he did a pretty good job of, alluding to the violence without showing it. I think that,
yeah.
And that's one positive thing that I'll say about this movie is that it looked great. I mean, this is a movie that it's a one location set movie, and I think that oftentimes when you set that sort of restriction or limitation on a filmmaker, it really encourages them to be creative with the visuals so that they can keep audiences engaged, even though it's just like a very small cabin. And I think that this movie looks great. Like, he did a really good job with the cinematography. I loved he did one of those, I'm pretty sure it was one of those robotic camera things that what's his name? Lee Wanell likes to use. Like he did that in Upgrade, and then he did it in Invisible Man, where you program in the camera angles.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he did that. At least with one shot where I believe it's when Dave Bautista is like swinging an axe. I'm pretty sure that's what he did in that scene to make it look so smooth. Either way, looks great. The movie overall, I was not a big fan of. It just didn't. I just didn't think there was anything here. Like, there weren't any like big revelations or twists to me. Like, I pretty much knew exactly what this was going into it, and it didn't really go anywhere that I didn't expect. So at the end of the day, I was just like, all right, that was the movie. It played out exactly how I expected it to. Not really many big surprises there.
Yeah, but there was a part of me that was, I think it was around halfway through, that I kind of got nervous, and I was really hoping that that's how it would be. Because at a certain point in time, I was like, I really hope there's not a twist, because I feel as though a twist would just absolutely ruin this movie.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, it would just completely fall apart.
Right, because if there was a twist, then it would undermine everything that was leading up to that point. And there was only like one feasible thing that could have happened as a twist, and it would have been horrible. So I'm in a way, I'm also glad that he didn't like introduce some crazy twist, because it would have been horrible.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So the first thing that I want to say before I get into like actually talking about the movie, before I forget about this, is I'm wondering if M. Night Shyamalan has a joke going on here. It's Jonathan Groff, a lot of times just talking about how he looks like Glenn Howerton and Dennis Reynolds. And of course, he's driving a Range Rover in this movie. So I was wondering if that was a joke, that he's Dennis Reynolds.
That would be hilarious.
I would thoroughly enjoy that. I'm telling myself that it is. But so to the actual movie, I think is the premise, because it's a simple premise, right? That it's talked about in the trailer, like they come the apocalypse or whatever, right? That's not a spoiler.
No, that is not a spoiler.
Okay. So they show up and they're like, hey, it's apocalypse, you got to make this decision. So, things happen, things transpire. First thing that comes on the television is kind of alluding to what a lot of people throughout history, a lot of people have thought that it's the end of the world, the apocalypse is coming, because there's terrible shit happening in the world, which pick any moment in history and there's terrible shit happening, right? So there was that vagueness, that like ambiguity, that it was like, well, is it actually happening, or are these people just kind of like overreacting, right? And then the second time, it's like clear cut at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, okay.
There's no question. Like there's no question at that point. Like that's what I didn't understand. I was like, am I supposed to believe throughout this whole movie, like, am I supposed to be questioning whether or not these people are being truthful, or this whole situation is real? Like, because it seems that that's what Shyamalan wants us to be like questioning, but at the same time, I didn't question it at all.
No, I don't think he does, because once that comes on, that's what makes it clear, where you're like, well, okay, that's not something that happened.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, you can't justify it, right?
Yeah, you could predict one horrible thing from happening at some point. Also, there was one interesting thing where one of the guys was like, "Oh, well, that's pre-recorded, like that already happened, and they're like showing us something that already happened, and they knew that it happened when they arrived." That was kind of an interesting little idea. But if you think about it for more than like 2 seconds, you'd realize like there's no way. Like what did they do? Like record that and then like hook up a Roku or something to the TV and play it without them knowing?
Yeah, come on. I think to me it wasn't, because that was the thing that worried me. I was like, okay, is this going to be, because I think that's more so the book is like, is there actually an apocalypse or not?
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
Yeah, and that's kind of what my wife told me, is like, even at the end, you don't know if there actually was one or not. So this movie, it was like, made it very clear, and that was that point in time where I was like, well, it seems like he's fully committed to this. Like, you can't change this, because it's going to be awful if you do. Like, you can't just throw in a twist now. It's going to be god-awful. So I was really hoping that he would continue with that, and he does, thankfully. Because to me, it seemed like it wasn't about the apocalypse thing. It became more of a, you're left with this decision of, the world is ending. Are you going to sacrifice yourself for the greater population, for the greater good? Or are you going to be selfish and say, no, it's us. Everyone else, like, it's actually just which.
And also you have to. It raises the question, does humanity deserve to be saved?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Which I think, and that's the only thing that I'm kind of having an issue with, is because, he sets it up as, okay, you have to sacrifice, which is, like, let's say it's climate change. And they're coming to us, between plastic straws, plastic bags, or COVID with masks and stuff. And, it's like, you have to make this sacrifice in order to try and save the climate. I guess I'm not forget about the COVID stuff. I'm talking about the climate thing. You know, you have to make the decisions where it's like, oh, okay, like I'll stop using plastic straws, but there's still like 13 major corporations that are responsible for like 95% of everything. Like me sacrificing doesn't mean shit.
Right.
Like, so that's the only thing that bothered me, that it was like, oh, laid on this family, like, okay, you have to make the sacrifice in order to save humanity, where it's like, that's not what's happening. Like, if they chose to save themselves, it's not necessarily being selfish. Like, why is it fucking happening in the first place?
Good question.
You know, if it's some sort of creator bullshit, like, why are we putting the onus on this one fucking family? It's your fucking world that you created.
It is. It is interesting that, and it feels like the family was. It's random. Like it seems like they wanted to pick.
Yeah, it was just whoever was in that house.
Yeah, it was just a random. Could have been any American family. It's also interesting. Well, I was gonna say like, why would it be an American family? But then again, like. Why, if it could have been any family, if it was just completely random.
Yeah, but I think that plays into the American selfishness,
and also the fact that like all of the four, people involved in this, everybody was from the U.S., right? Weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, that is funny. It's like, okay, every other country in the world,
even Rupert Grint, who like everybody, he was putting on a fake accent for this. Like, you would think that there'd be these messengers, would at least be somewhat multicultural.
Yeah, it is. That is an interesting thing to, like, if you found out later, let's say you live in Nigeria and you're just like, well, why the fuck did it come down to 7 fucking people in the US
yeah.
for the entire goddamn world? What the fuck?
Exactly.
Like, you could just destroy the US. Like, don't drag us in.
I mean, shit. Maybe have like 4 people for like in every country or something, or parcel it out a little bit more. But why are we putting all our eggs in one basket here, guys?
It's just one fucking cabin in Pennsylvania.
Because the other thing is, like, who was to say that these 4 representatives, like, that they wouldn't screw this whole thing up? Because they could have easily screwed the whole thing up too.
Oh yeah, they could have definitely screwed the pooch.
I mean, I guess they were picked. I know that they were picked for a reason. Like, those 4 people were picked for a reason, but I don't know. Part of me likes that there weren't like crazy exposition dumps or anything where everything had an answer. I like a little bit of ambiguity with it, but once you start picking this apart, I feel like there's too many ridiculous like questions that come up here.
I want to say, because I didn't even get, I kind of got sidetracked and I didn't get to the main thing here, is that I liked this. I was really into this movie.
That's good.
It was this simple, it felt like a throwback simple movie where it's just like simple premise, great pacing, shot well, good action, enough compelling features to it. The ending I could have done without. It went too far, like it showed too much.
Yeah,
that was like the main issue that I had with it. But for the most part, like in the midst of watching it, I was like, man, that felt good. It felt like 100 minutes went by just like that. You know what I mean? Like, hell, it felt shorter than some of the fucking TV shows that I've been watching.
I kind of liked the ending, actually. I thought it was an oddly sweet ending that, I don't know, I didn't really see that coming. And I thought, although the very, like, the end, like the very end, I was just like, all right, let's roll these credits here, buddy. I
I
like
think
to,
that's more so what I'm talking about is
yeah,
the diner.
yeah,
Everything from the diner on is just like, yeah,
yep,
no, we can stop.
yeah. I was referring more to, I guess, the climax. Um, I thought Dave Bautista was awesome in this. I like everything that Dave Bautista's in, and I hope he keeps getting interesting roles to play because I think he's awesome, and I think he makes this movie. Like I think
Oh yeah,
without him, this movie would not be nearly as engaging or entertaining. I think that
no,
he is crucial to this movie.
very much so. Yeah, this movie doesn't work without him. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So, props to him for just continuing this upward trajectory that he's on. Let's go ahead and give Knock the Cabin a score. What are you going to give it out of 10?
I'm gonna give it like a 7.
7.
Actually.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it like a 5.5, like slightly above average for me.
All right.
Let's move on. Talk about some of what we've been watching. I think it's my turn this week. Let's see.
Hit me.
I will start with. I've been in this like detective mood lately. Like I've been playing these like Sherlock Holmes video games, and I'm really into those. And I've just been like kind of craving mysteries. So I was like, you know what? I didn't watch the Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie movies, the Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. I didn't watch those. So I decided to give them a look, both of them.
Yep.
And they're not very good. And I can't say as I liked either of them.
Oh, no.
They have these really pretty good casts in them, pretty decent ensemble cast, with the exception of Armie Hammer in Death on the Nile. What an unfortunate turn of events that was.
Bad timing.
Yeah, and I honestly think that hurt this movie. Like that whole, because if you remember, like that whole thing came out like right when this movie was about to come out, and I think that it definitely hurt it. I think also just the fact that these are based on Agatha Christie novels, and they're old, like they're old stories, and I didn't find them to be particularly compelling. I will say that the visuals on both of them are phenomenal, like the costumes, the production design. I mean, just outstanding. But aside from that, I wasn't particularly compelled by the stories here. I actually think that Rian Johnson does a far better job with crafting entertaining mysteries with his Knives Out movies and Poker Face more recently.
Yeah. I watched Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead from 1980.
Hell yeah.
Watch out now. This is on Shudder and Tubi. I watched it on Tubi. Surprise.
Naturally.
Yeah, got it. So, a psychic, she's doing her thing. She sees visions of something happening in Dunwich. Priest hangs himself. People are going to start coming out of graves, start walking the earth, all that kind of stuff, right? She dies during the seance, and they're like, oh, fuck. This is serious business. They put her in the coffin, put her in the ground, bury her. And then there's this long, and this happens a lot in this movie. There's a lot of like back and forth. She's like scraping the inside of the coffin because she wakes up and she's like, what the fuck? I'm buried alive. God damn it. She's scraping, banging, screaming. There's a journalist. He's like walking away and he's like, oh shit, I think I hear something. And it's this continuous like cutting back and forth to like her scraping, banging, making noise. Cut to his face where he's like, do I hear something? He doesn't move. He doesn't like inch closer to the coffin or anything. He's just like, do I actually? And then it cuts to her making a shit ton of noise. Fingernails are bleeding, all that stuff. Cuts back to him and he's like, well, is it? I don't know. I got other things to do today. Cuts back to her. Cuts back. They do that like 9 times. Where you're like, at first it's like, oh, okay, here we go. And then it just keeps going on and on where you're like, okay, is this supposed to be like a comedic thing now? Because like this is ridiculous. And then it'll finally end. And they do it numerous times throughout the movie where you're just like, oh, okay, they're building tension. And then it passes a point where you're like, okay, this is maybe supposed to be funny now, I guess. I don't know. But nothing else is funny about this movie. It's just bizarre. The editing is bizarre. Ruins the movie, really. Because the gore that you see is phenomenal. There's a woman that these zombies have powers. They just stare at you. They make your eyes bleed. They make you vomit up all your organs, which a woman does, and it looks phenomenal. And then she reaches over. They don't really like attack people and bite them. They grab you by the back of your skull and just crush it with their hand. Just crush that skull. Just get a handful of the back of your head, cave it in, pull your brains out. And that happens a couple of times, and it's just fucking insane. Because it's disgusting. It looks good, but it also looks so good that it's disgusting. And it's unsettling. So when that's happening, it's incredible. It's just unfortunate that there's just a lot of like lackluster story where you're just like, oh boy, the editing. It's like a light recommend. Like if you're a zombie aficionado, right? Check it out.
Yeah.
But there's better stuff out there.
I'll be honest, I have not seen this. This is one that's been on my list forever, and I just haven't got around to it.
Do it. You're going to like it.
Yeah, I mean, I know I will.
I have a feeling you have sort of the same issue as that I had, but overall. Because when it's good, it's good.
Yeah. Cool. I liked his other zombie movies and stuff. You should check out New York Ripper next. That's a really good one that he did.
Will do.
It's not a zombie movie. It's a more of a giallo. But all right. That's City of the Living Dead. I saw The Keep from 1983. This is directed by Michael Mann. I don't know why I've suddenly, like out of nowhere, last night I was like, you know what? I want to catch up with some Michael Mann films. I want to rewatch Heat, and then I never saw The Keep, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch The Keep, see what that's all about. So The Keep is this horror movie about it's a giant keep. And like this building is insane looking. There's these crosses all over it. It's huge. Looks like a giant castle, sort of. And this is during World War II. This platoon of Nazis come into this keep. They're going to use it as their place that they're going to just kind of hang out in for a couple nights. You know, this is I believe that this is towards the end of the war. And while they're in here, a couple of these Nazi bastards decide that they're going to try to steal some of the crosses off the walls. They find one that's made of silver. And when they pull it off, they don't realize it, but they unleash the entity that is trapped inside this keep. And it starts killing these Nazis. Every night it's coming out and killing them. And it turns out that this thing that they unleashed is desperately trying to escape. And it's up to Scott Glenn, who plays this kind of like, basically like an alien. And he goes out to stop it. He realizes that this demon has awoken, and he's got to go kill it once and for all. And you also have Ian McKellen in here as he's like an archaeologist who was studying the keep. So he like kind of knows the history. And it turns out that he was in a concentration camp. They pull him out of the camp and have him investigate what's going on. And the demon like corrupts him because of all the shit that he went through in the concentration camp. And, you know, it's all right. Like, there's a young Gabriel Byrne in here too, who looks like a little kid. The crazy thing is Ian McKellen looks the exact same Like, this is a movie that came out in 1983, and he looked like freaking Gandalf back then, or Magneto. Like, it was nuts. I don't even understand. But
he's a weird one.
It was so bizarre. Like, he looked so old, and part of it was that they made him look old in this because they de-age him at one point. Like, the demon gives him powers and he gets younger. But even after they make him look younger, like, he still looked like Magneto. I mean, age-wise. Anyway, the movie's okay. I thought that some of the effects work was goofy. It was like some of that kind of 70s, early 80s, like sci-fi stuff where they just used lots of light, like light shooting from people's eyes and stuff. The like demon design work looked kind of cool. It was like this sort of looked like a human. It was like a humanoid creature, but it had like the muscles and like the tissue were all like on the outside, like there was no skin or anything. But it wasn't like in Hellraiser when Frank comes back and he's like all slimy and gross. It was like smooth. It was like he was wearing this like muscle like suit. Looked like something from Attack on Titan or something. But yeah, it was I don't know. It was okay. You can definitely see the Michael Mann like style starting to come through here, but it's certainly not as well defined as in his later titles. Lots of slow motion in this, like random unnecessary slow motion.
I have two that I'm going to do real quick. First is Minari, the Lee Isaac Chung movie from 2020. Finally got around to watching this. Not a whole lot to say outside of like, the filmmaking isn't like anything special, but story, performances, all that, everything is just phenomenal. Like, it's just a nice time. It's just a super nice time movie.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. So I would definitely recommend Minari if you haven't seen it yet. And then the other thing that I want to talk about more so is My Cousin Vinnie. Watched that last night because my wife has never seen it. So going through My Cousin Vinnie again in 2023, which is, it's something else. This movie's funny as hell. It's so good. It's just insane thinking about movies nowadays, like the last couple of years watching movies and like what movies come out. Like just the idea of Joe Pesci at 49 being a leading man, you know what I mean? And like Marissa Tomei being his, like, it's just insane. Like that would never happen. That's just not something that would ever happen right now.
Yeah.
And just seeing a guy that's like ridiculously short and old looking, you're just like, oh, that just doesn't happen in this day and age anymore.
Nope.
49-year-old, guy. It's just, but it's so, like, I kind of forgot about Marissa Tomei. Like, I knew she was good in this movie, but like, this is her fucking movie. Like, it's Pesci's, but
I mean, she won an Oscar for this, so
yeah, like it's always hers. Like at any moment, she's just like, I could take this movie right now if I want to, and make it mine. And it seems like she's kind of doing a favor for Pesci. Like, I'll back off. I'll kind of stay out of this scene because if I come into the scene, you're done for. You're done. So it's my fucking movie from here on out. Because holy shit, is she funny in this fucking movie?
She's incredible. Yeah, she's incredible in that. I watched this not too long ago. We covered this on Saved by the 90s, and so I'm pretty fresh on this one too. And it was great to go back and because like for me, I don't know if this was the same for you, but like it had been forever since I saw like My Cousin Vinnie like fully unedited, like from start to finish. It's one of those movies that you always catch on TV, and and so you'll see like part of it. Usually it's the end half. And it's always like, edited for television and all of that. So it was really fun to go back and just watch the whole thing.
Yeah, because like when the movie started, I was like, "Oh yeah, what did they get arrested for?" Actually,
Exactly. Like that's the thing is everybody who sees My Cousin Vinny, it's always the end. Everybody
I w-
tunes in at the end.
and I wonder if that's just like a TV edit thing where they're just like, you know what, fuck it, let's just start the movie from when Pesci
Uh,
shows up in Arkansas
uh,
or
Maybe, I don't
Alabama,
know. It's weird. It's weird that that's just how it always works.
but still good, still incredibly good.
Yeah, great. It really is. It really is a great movie. I saw F is for Fake from 1973. It's directed by Orson Welles. It's his. I don't even know what this movie is. I don't know what it is, but I know that I loved it.
Yes,
It is. Have you seen this?
yes, this movie is incredible.
Like, I didn't know if it was like. Is it a video essay? Is it a documentary? Is it a movie about him making this movie? Is it about art forgeries? Is it about that dude who faked the autobiography of Howard Hughes? Like, it's absolutely bonkers. Like, when you watch this movie, like anybody, I feel like anybody else, if anybody else made this movie, with the exception of like maybe 3 directors, it would be an absolute god awful mess that wouldn't work at all. You'd just be like, what the fuck is happening in this? But Orson Welles, the way that he structures it, even though like you never know where this movie is going to go, it keeps you so engaged the whole time because you're just like, okay, all right, now we're talking about Picasso. Okay, now like he's saying that like his girlfriend was the inspiration for 22 of Picasso's paintings, and it's like, I mean, some of this has to be true, but a lot of it is complete bullshit. And that was like the most endearing thing about it is like at one time anything and everything could have been true or false in this movie, and it was just so fascinating, man. Like, and also this came out in 1973, or he made it in 1973. It came out, I think, like in 76 or something. And like the techniques that he was using, like this was a very experimental film.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he laid the groundwork for a lot of the stuff that we see nowadays in like docufiction and stuff like that. And I just feel like it was a movie that was way ahead of its time. And I loved it. If you haven't seen F for Fake, highly recommend checking it out. It's on HBO Max. That's where I saw it.
Without a doubt.
Let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. Got Creed 3 coming out.
Creed 3?
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't even seen Creed 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Interesting.
I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I didn't see Creed 1.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm not interested in the series, but I don't know.
Like this is what it is. It's a boxing movie.
Right. Yeah.
Everything that you would think that you're going to see, that's what you're going to see.
I'm honestly not a big fan of the Rocky series either. Like they're okay, but
yeah,
you know, I'm not a huge Rocky fan.
No.
It's more of a Rambo kind of guy.
It's kind of crazy how many movies that we have born out of the Rocky series.
Oh yeah.
Too many.
Yeah.
It's too many. It's too many.
We also have Operation Fortune. That's the new Guy Ritchie one.
Okay. Interesting.
I haven't seen the last Guy Ritchie one.
I have a feeling I haven't seen the last like either 8 or 2. I have no idea how many movies has made.
It's so funny because like, so you know, he started off real strong, and then he fizzled out, and then he started doing like he did like the Sherlock Holmes movies, but then like he kind of went back to the kind of gangster type movies, and he did like The Gentleman and Wrath of Man, but like it feels like all of his movies are just starting to bleed together at this point.
A little bit, yeah.
It's not that I dislike him as a director nowadays. It's just like, I liked Wrath of Man. I thought that it was pretty good. And I liked The Man from U.N.C.L.E. too, which he did. I thought that was really fun. So I don't know. I think that the weird thing about him is that his first two movies, you know, Lock, Stock, and Snatch, were just so strong, and they came out at just the right time for us as young movie lovers.
And now he's just trying to capture that again.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels like, but I'm not, like, I've grown and I'm not interested anymore. It was fun for teenage me.
Yeah, but I don't know. Also, it feels like there's just something missing from these like later entries too. Like I don't know like what it is, like, but I just feel like some of the magic is lost there. I don't know if it's like maybe the characters in these newer ones are weaker than what we had in Lock, Stock, and Snatch. Because like the style's still there, but there's just something else lacking. Anyway, those are the two big ones. We also have Children of the Corn, which is the remake. That's going to be in theaters. And then RRR is getting re-released in theaters. So that's kind of exciting. Yeah. And then there's also a movie called Blueback, which I believe did get a wide release. So that's theaters. Let's take a look at VOD. On the 28th, we have Close, which is only going to be released on the 28th. It's like a one night only A24 screening type of thing. And then that'll be out later in March on VOD proper.
Okay.
I believe that's nominated for an Academy Award.
I think you're right.
I think it's foreign language up for that one. Looks pretty good. I might watch this. We also have Free Skate that's coming out on the 28th and Wolf Garden on the 28th. March 2nd, we have The Park, which is it's like a horror movie maybe. We got Spoonful of Sugar on Shudder. And then on the 3rd, we have The Year Between, Transfusion, which is a action movie. It's a Saban Films release, so you know what that's going to be all about.
Well, you know what you're getting into.
Yep. We got The Donor Party, which is a comedy, I believe. We got Split at the Root, The Little White Lie, The Burial, The Creeping. We got Love at First Kiss, and that's on Netflix. And looks like maybe that's about it for VOD.
All right.
Blu-ray, we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original 1974 version. That's coming out on 4K. So that's finally getting a 4K release. The Rocky movies are coming out again for like the 8 millionth time. There's like some kind of the Rocky Knockout collection that's coming out, and that's on 4K.
There you go.
That includes Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the 5th one, I don't know what this is. It says there's Rocky 4, and then there's Rocky 4, Rocky versus Drago.
Okay.
So I don't know what the difference between Rocky 4 and Rocky 4, Rocky versus Drago, like what the hell that is. But yeah. Let's see. We have Undead from 2003. Looks like the Leica movies are getting a new 4K release. It's like looks like all the Leica movies. Training Day is getting a new 4K release. Devotion from last year. Millionaire's Express from 1986 coming out on Arrow. Hunt from last year. I guess it was towards the end of last year that came out. That's a like a martial arts film, action film. That's okay. Yeah, it looks like the John Wick movies are coming out. I guess in anticipation of the new one, Chapter 4.
Understandable.
And then it looks like A24 has a 5-film horror collection that's coming out also, which includes, let's see, Hereditary, X, The Witch, Green Room, and It Comes at Night. See now it would bother me that you get X, but you don't get the other one, Pearl.
Yeah, you don't get Pearl.
That would right there would like just kind of irk me. And you get Hereditary, but you don't get Midsummer.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I guess that'll be in the second box.
It's still like that would bother me so much. I mean, especially the X one, because that's the first in a trilogy, and you don't get the other two. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it looks like it's a Walmart exclusive, so that's probably why.
There you go. Cleared that up.
Yeah. What about Criterion's this week?
Oh, we got two. We got a 2-pack. We got 2 films from Marguerite Duras. So 2 for movies from the 70s, India Song and Baxter, Vera Baxter, finally getting a Blu-ray release. And then the other one, I like this. I'm a fan of this one. That's 1987's Hollywood Shuffle, the debut feature from Robert Townsend. Love this movie.
Nice. Oh no, that was last week. Never mind. Dazed and Confused came out on 4K last week.
Oh, yes.
Looks like Marathon Man is also getting a 4K release.
Marathon Man.
Yeah, hell yeah. Not Criterion, but maybe should be. Yep. I mean, that one's a classic.
Slap it on there. Why not?
Cool. All right, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a moment, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That'd be great. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.